I'm Batman. Just kidding, everybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite penguin to penguinaire. It's time to get our geek on, except for this one. I'm doing my very first ever movie review, and it's going to be of the movie The Batman. So let's hop into it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get in the movie review. If you want to know why I'm not showing any actual footage, is I just don't want any copyright claims on my channel. And the music I'm playing is actually copyright free, so I don't have to worry about that. But let's go ahead and get into the movie review. This is, of course, from Batman Arkham Origins, the video game put out by Warner Brothers themselves, because in between the gap of the Arkham games, they wanted people to have something to play, so they came out with this. And I actually enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't. I really enjoyed it, but we're not here to talk about this game. We're here to talk about the movie. Okay, so overall, the Batman movie, let's first go over the main cast. You have Batman, who is played by Robert Pattinson. You have Catwoman, who's played by Zoe Kravitz. Sorry, I'm going over my notes. You have Riddler, played by Paul Dano, I believe is how you pronounce it. James Gordon is played by Jeffrey Wright. Penguin is played by Colin Farrell, and with the makeup, there's a couple of scenes, if you look him right in the face, you can actually tell it's Colin Farrell. Other scenes, you can't tell that's him. They did a great job with his makeup. Alfred Pennyworth is portrayed by Andy Serkis, and S-E-R-K-I-S, I think is how you, like Circus or Circus. Anyway, so that's who's portraying all the characters. Let's start off doing a vast overview. So the Batman, he's been Batman for about 2 years. And at the opening monologue, you can actually hear him. Well, I take it back. Spoilers alert. If you have not seen the movie, you might not want to watch this, because there's going to be some spoilers. I'm going to talk about some stuff in the movie. So stop watching this. If you don't want to have anything spoiled, go watch the movie. Then come back and watch my review. That's the safe bet. But I am going to be going over stuff in the movie, so there are spoilers ahead. So definitely, if you don't want anything spoiled, stop watching. Okay, so the opening monologue, you have Robert Pattinson talking, and he's talking about 2 years of nights have made me a night animal and stuff like that. So that's how you know it's been at least 2 years he's been Batman. And on top of that, they have a signal now, which is the Bat Signal, but he's not cemented enough as a hero to the city to where they have it on top of Gotham Police headquarters. Like in the comics, it is off somewhere else. And James Gordon goes there and he turns it on. And it's not so much as a, hey, Batman, we need you, as more of a, he's kind of giving everybody a warning, like, hey, just so you don't forget, Batman's out there. You might not want to do what you're thinking of doing. So you go through this opening monologue. Sorry, I just keep looking at my notes. You go through the opening monologue. You hear him talk about how fear is a good weapon, and it starts showing criminals doing different things. One's robbing a store, one's doing this, one's doing that. And then you see them run out, and they run off. And then they see the Bat Signal. And then they look at the dark corners or dark alleys that they were getting ready to run to, and it starts going to their mind, I can't go that way. Batman's going to be there. Batman's going to get me. And then it actually has him approach what is supposed to be a mock Joker gang. At this point in time, Joker's not around yet, and this mock gang, of course, has the face paint. So I don't know what you call them, the ghosts maybe or something. I don't know. Ghost face. I don't know what you call them. But at that one, he walks out of the shadows. He beats the tar out of them, and they say, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am Vengeance," which will play a part later in the movie. So he beats the crap out of them. He sees the signal, and then it cuts, and then it goes to, he does something else, and then he actually meets up with Commissioner Gordon, and then you see the aftermath of Riddler's first murder. At this point, you don't really know him as the Riddler. He's not really calling himself the Riddler and everything. So it's also kind of reminiscent of Hush, where it was known as the copycat killer, or the identity thief, because he would take their faces, and he was making a face of Bruce Wayne, and he had like bandages wrapped around his head. And even at some point in the movie, there's a film that Riddler plays and actually says Hush. So the movie is a mix of The Long Halloween and Hush and a few other things. I really like the bat suit. I thought the bat cowl or mask, I would say, is actually very reminiscent of Batman Gotham by Gaslight. If you look at that cowl and that kind of outfit, and then you look at his in the movie, you can see where they drew some of it from Batman by Gaslight, or Gotham by Gaslight, excuse me, which was a very good comic. I really enjoyed it, and they actually even made a animated movie about it, which you really got to see. It's really good. So the cowl is reminiscent of that, and the reason of that is they're trying to make it like he's not using Wayne tech like Batman has in the future, where he's using Wayne technology to make all of his stuff yet. A lot of this is, again, year 2. It's something that he and Alfred are making together down in the Batcave, or underneath, or not Batcave, excuse me, in the subway terminal, which is called the Wayne Terminus. And if you played the Batman Arkham games, you will notice that it looks very similar to one or two of the subway terminals in the game. There's actually a lot of Easter egg nods to different Batman movies, video games, and so on. So you definitely need to watch out for those. His portrayal of Batman, I thought, was really, really good. The other thing that you'll notice in this movie is, I've noticed a couple people that liked it. They said the only thing they didn't really like was this or that. And one thing that they said they didn't like was, if you notice, Batman and Bruce Wayne are almost the exact same person. There's no difference between the two. And if you pay attention, that's actually right in line with the comics, because at the very beginning of his time, when he first appeared, Batman could not differentiate the two personalities. So his main personality, the main person he is Batman. So Batman is Bruce Wayne. It is not that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And the reason is because Batman is the actual person. That is who he really is. And Bruce Wayne is just this mask that he puts on, so people won't realize who that Batman is actually, this rich millionaire or billionaire, excuse me, and he's got, and so on. Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman is the real character. So he hasn't figured out how to differentiate the two. So you'll actually see him in the movie. He's kind of got this like slow walk where he's kind of looking down and watching everybody, and he's kind of got like this brooding scowl, like the world's so dark around him and everything. You'll see that even in the trailer. There's a bit where he's at a funeral. In the movie, it's a funeral, but in the trailer, I don't really think you can tell. But you see him kind of have this like low look, and I don't know, but basically it's the same look he has as he's Batman, or that Batman has, and he hasn't been able to differentiate the two yet. So it's still a progression. Batman's learning what to be. He's also learning that he has to have this other personality so that people can't figure out what he's actually doing or who he, and so on. So on top of that, let's go back to the Vengeance thing. You'll actually hear Penguin call him Mr. Vengeance. You'll hear some of the other people call him Mr. Vengeance, and the reason is nobody really calls him Batman. Excuse me, nobody really calls him Batman because he has this habit of when somebody says, "Who are you?" "I am Vengeance." Well, he says, "I am Vengeance," but he's dressed like a bat. So others are nicknaming him Batman, but everybody else just calls him Mr. Vengeance, because when they say, "Who are you?" he says, "I am Vengeance." I was like, okay, your name's Vengeance. Well, no, his name's Batman, but he just keeps telling everybody, "I am Vengeance," so they start saying, call him Vengeance. So again, that will play later. So fast forward, you have Riddler, and what Riddler's doing is he is taking what Batman is doing, which Batman is going after the criminals of Gotham. He's not per se going after the corrupt police, politicians. That's just who he happens to run into. It's not who he's really after. He's after the criminal element of Gotham, such as the Penguin, the Falcones, the Maronis, and stuff like that, the Mafia. That's who he's after. If he ends up busting a couple of bad cops or a couple of bad politicians along bad judges, so be it. That's not who he's really after. He's just after them. So later, you have Riddler telling Batman, after he's been captured, he said, "You inspired me. We're working together." And Batman says, "No, we're not. How can I inspire you?" So basically what it is Batman's going after criminals. Riddler has taken it upon himself. He's like, "I get what Batman's doing, so I'm going to do it." And Riddler goes after the politicians, the judges, the cops. He's going after the ones that Batman's not really going after. So he goes after the commissioner, I believe. He goes after, I want to say it's a mayor or something like that. So he goes after a few. Catwoman gets drawn into this, or actually it's Selena Kyle. She's not really Catwoman yet. It's just the mask she wears has kind of like ears, so cat burglar, cat ears, etc. She's brought into this because her roommate gets killed, and Batman's comes into it, and they kind of, mix it up. as you can see in the trailer where they fight. And what it is she's trying to get her passport so she can get her friend out of the city, but too late, she's already been murdered. So now Batman is trying to help her solve and figure out who killed her friend. So then Selena Kyle's drawn into it. And I thought they had somewhat of a going chemistry, not really like you see in the future of the comic books where he and Selena like actually have this romance going on back and forth, and then they actually had a comic book series where he and Catwoman got married. So, which I think came out last year or year before last. So you don't really have the chemistry there, but you kind of see some of it. Like it's a romance starting to bud, so to speak. So, and even later on, she's like, "Hey, why don't you come with me? We can go knock off some CEOs, and it'll be a great time." And Batman, this is one thing I don't agree with. He didn't outright say no. You just see him kind of like look off and like he's thinking, "Should I really do this with her?" I'm like, no, you're Batman. You don't do that. So, and then it just shows them drive off and go their separate ways. But the fact that they had Batman think about it kind of bothered me. But, so now, again, let's go. Like I said, I'm going to be jumping back and forth. So, Riddler leaves all these clues, these ciphers. And the thing about this Batman movie that you need to understand versus the other movies we've seen, such as the Christopher Nolan trilogy, etc., those were a action-based Batman movie. This one is a more detective-based Batman movie. So you're going to see him and Alfred doing more of the detective work than you have in the other movies, such as solving the ciphers, trying to figure out what Riddler's up to, figuring out clues that the cops can't figure out. You're going to see not a ton of it, but you're going to see way more of it than you have in the past movies. So I definitely am happy that finally a movie brought in the detective side more so than what we've seen. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And let's see. So you go from there. You start solving all the riddles. So you start getting the idea of, and then they finally come up with one. They saw the riddle that said a rat with wings. And in the movie, they're talking about the person who was actually the snitch. So they're trying to find out who was the rat, who was the one who set all of this, what's going on in Gotham, in motion. And you have Falcone, or some call him Falcone, it's all Falcone, but Falcon has wings. Therefore, what happened is Falcone actually was the snitch to get Maroni out of the way so he could take over his drug business, and the Penguin came in with that. And then the other thing that Falcone did is Falcone is the one who actually had Bruce Wayne's parents murdered. So here's what happened. In this, I actually enjoyed this kind of a side step to the origin story. They didn't really, like, here's the origin story again for the millionth time. No, we already know the origin story. Thank goodness they didn't go into it in depth. But I did enjoy that. They didn't redo the origin story because it's been rehashed every movie that came out. So what you have is, in this one, Martha Wayne actually had a psychiatric episode or mental breakdown because her mom and dad, I think her mom killed her dad and then her mom killed herself. She had a mental breakdown. She was put into a psychiatric hospital, and Thomas Wayne was running for mayor. And a reporter was getting ready to bring all this to light. He was getting ready to, like, hey, might want to think twice about voting for him because his wife, had a psychiatric episode. She had a mental breakdown. This could happen while he's, running for mayor. Da, 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 da. So he goes to Falcone and like, hey, look, can you just get this guy to hush? Scare him, make him run away. Falcone's like, you know what? I'm going to use this opportunity to get something on Thomas Wayne I can use to have him in my grip. So instead of scaring the guy away, what he does is he murders the reporter, Edward Elliot. At first, I thought that was going to be, Thomas is the son, which is the Riddler. He's trying to... Well, actually, what it ended up being, I think, was the last name Elliot was a nod to the Hush character who was Thomas Elliot in the Batman Arkham game. And at first, it was Riddler in the comic book, etc. So I do think that was just a nod to that character. I don't think they were actually going to introduce Hush, so to speak. But, so, he has that on him. And then Thomas Wayne, what he's going to do is, because he couldn't stand, he's like, I don't want him having anything on me, so I'm going to go straight to the cops and tell him, look, yes, I made a mistake. I went to this guy and asked him to scare the guy off. Instead, he killed him outright. So I'll testify. So what happens is Falcone's like, all right, let's get them killed and bumped off. So he hires somebody, which he won't outright say he hired them, but he did have it done. And I think he mentions that Joe Chill killed them for him, which in the comics, Joe Chill is the one who killed Batman's parents. So that set everything in motion. It also put into play that everybody was now on Falcone's payroll, the police, the politicians. It put Falcone in the seat of power. So the other thing is that in this movie, they actually have Catwoman revealing that Falcone is her dad in a twist. And she's wanting revenge because he had her mom killed, and actually he choked her mom to death by strangling her. And so she's wanting revenge, and it's just, the movie is slower paced than the other movies we've seen, because again, this is a detective based movie, it's not an action based movie. And if you look at it from that respect, you will actually enjoy it a little bit, instead of going in there expecting all this action to happen. And it's just it's kind of slower paced. It's not like extremely slow like a Slug, but it is slower paced than the other Batman movies we've seen, especially Christopher Nolan trilogy, because that was from start to finish had action in it. So that's the overall gist of it. And then you get to the very end, Riddler's been captured. He sets off bombs to destroy the levees and dams, which floods the city, forcing everybody to where the mayor is. The people he's met online who are part of this group are there to try and kill as many people as they can. Batman, of course, stops them. And one of the things he does to stop them is there's a big electrical box or whatever it is, electrical light swinging back and forth about to hit the water and shock and kill everybody. So he takes the batarang off his chest, cuts it, shocking himself, but the suit absorbed some of it. He fell, and then he rose up again, kind of like I guess a resurrection or baptism, because he's finally realizing what he really needs to be. And it's not this scary figure or this vengeance figure. He needs to be a symbol that the people of Gotham can look to not on the fact that they don't have to be scared of the criminals anymore. They can actually stand up for themselves. So kind of to show where he's now going to be the light to Gotham City, he has a flare, he helps get these people out, they follow him to safety, and then you actually see him on the roof where he's carrying a woman, puts her in a helicopter, or to be medevaced out, and she grabs his arm like, please don't leave me alone. He's like, don't worry, they'll take care of you. You know, he doesn't say that, but he kind of nods to her like, don't worry, you'll be okay. And then she lets go and she's like, okay, and she relaxes. So that shows the progression of Batman from this scary, vengeful figure who's out to get anybody as vengeance to he's becoming a symbol of hope for the people of Gotham, somebody they can believe in to help them fight off the criminal element of the city. And then let's go to a couple of nod Easter egg right there. If you go to the movie again and you watch it, you'll see him looking up at a helicopter where it's blowing his cape and everything. That happened in the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman movie, where he's looking at Joker's helicopter and it's blowing his cape and everything. It's kind of a nod to that scene. And again, you're going to see a lot of nods to other movies or video games of Batman in this movie. So don't miss them, because some of them are really, really quick. But I would say for Robert Pattinson as Batman, I would give him a 9 out of 10. I thought he did a very good job as Batman. For Zoe Kravitz and her portrayal of Selina Kyle, 10 out of 10. Because this played off of where Selina Kyle was actually a prostitute slash, I guess you can kind of say stripper aspect of it. And I thought she did very, very well in the character portrayal and how she portrayed the character. I really enjoyed her portrayal of that character. Paul Dano, I thought he did really good as the Riddler, but more so, I would still knock it down a little bit to about a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10, because he felt more like Zodiac Killer instead of Riddler. Like, I mean, he left clues and stuff for Batman with a cipher and stuff, but he didn't really leave riddles, so to speak. So calling him the Riddler throughout the movie is, you don't really see real like riddles. You'll see some riddles in like the cards he leaves. There's some riddles there, but it's not outright like riddle me this and then he, whatever. But I would still say like the outfit is more reminiscent of the Zodiac killer than anything else. So, and then if you remember the movie Seven, it felt kind of like a knockoff to that because he actually gave himself up. They didn't really catch him, but this was all part of his plan. Like, you know, I'll let them catch me, da 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 da, and then they take him, of course, to Arkham Asylum, where he's actually safe, and that's why he wanted to be captured. He's like, everything's getting ready to happen. I want to go over here where I'm going to be safe. So I'd give it a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. You know, it wasn't a bad portrayal, but there's some things I wish they would have done better. Colin Farrell as Penguin, 10 out of 10. Again, the makeup was great. Unless you looked at him in the face a couple of scenes, you couldn't tell it's Colin Farrell. I thought he had a very good portrayal of the character, and I can't wait to see the HBO series that they're going to do with him. I think that's going to be an amazing series. Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon. I actually enjoyed him as James Gordon. I felt like he brought more depth to this version of Gordon in the DC multiverse, which let's face it, that's what this is. When you see all these different versions of Batman, these different versions of Commissioner Gordon, that's what it is. It's a dive into the DC multiverse, which they are going to be doing. Especially after the Flash movie, if you notice that one, there's different Flashes from different universes. So they are going to be diving into, and this is just letting them know, like, if you pay attention, this is a dive into the multiverse for DC. But I did think he did a very good job as James Gordon. I thought that you see him trying to keep Batman out of trouble, which in the very early comics, after they decide to work with each other, that's what he does a lot of, because you still have some of the corrupt cops trying to take Batman down because they're worried he's going to take them down first. So you do have a bit of James Gordon trying to keep him from getting arrested, trying to keep him from in trouble with the police, and that's reminiscent of the early comics, and I like that aspect of it. And he even will go so far as a scene in the movie where he tells Batman, punch him and run out the other door, otherwise, you know, they'll realize I'm helping you out here. And he's like, you know, we're still not on that level yet, so I need you to kind of act like you're, you know, roughing me up. So Batman punches him, knocks him out, runs out the other door, locks the door behind him, and he takes off. And then you have the scene of the stairwell scene, kind of like in Batman Begins, where he's falling down, except this time he's using the grappling hook and he's going up. So that was actually a pretty cool aspect of it. And I did like it where they met up, and James Gordon said, you could have at least pulled that punch, and he's like, I did. So in other words, you're seeing where Batman's like, I did pull it. You just got a glass jaw. So it was kind of a comical thing. And then you actually see where he and James Gordon and Batman captured Penguin. They're trying to question him about the Riddler, and then they figure it out where Riddler's possibly going to be at, which is a orphanage. And then they go to drive off, and you see Penguin tied up. He's like, "Are y'all going to leave me like this, you bunch of sons of..." And so there's some humor in there that fits the movie, which is pretty good. The Batmobile. Let's talk about the Batmobile. Okay, so the Batmobile, 10 out of 10. Because, again, this is based off of the first 2 years where they're not trying to use any of Wayne Tech's stuff because they don't want anything to come back to the Wayne Manor yet, or to the Waynes. So they are building from scratch with an engine and everything, a muscle car ripped apart. They're putting this turbo engine thing in it with the booster in it. It looks amazing. And then when you actually see it come to life, that scene where it's in the alleyway where Penguin looks at it and then you see the lights come on, the engine. There was a movie, I think it was kind of took that from, I think it was like Christine or something, where the car was possessed, and there was a scene like that. And then the car chase with it was amazing. I love the car chase. One of the first times I can remember you seeing a car chase in the rain. Even in Matrix and stuff, it's like daytime, it's no rain because it makes the road slick and everything. This was at night and in the rain. Kudos to Matt Reeves for this one, because I really enjoyed seeing a car chase like that. And then, of course, it also shows the fact that Batman will not stop. You cannot stop him. So Penguin has stuff get thrown in front of him, and if you watch the chase, it kind of escalates. Like a car, then it's like one of those big cement tubes, then it's some trucks exploding, and Batman just keeps coming. And at one point, Penguin is like, I got you! And then you see the car flying out of the flames, and it's kind of like that oh crap moment. I can't stop this guy. You can actually see the terror in his face, like, I can't stop him. Everything's been thrown in front of him, including 2 exploding trucks, and he's still coming. And then he hits Penguin's car, it flips, rolls, and crashes, and then you see him get out of the Batmobile and slowly walk, kind of like Jason Voorhees or Mike Myers, where they're stalking their prey, so to speak. You see him slowly walk towards Penguin, and the music is just getting louder, and then you can see Penguin's face, like his eyes getting bigger with terror, and that's what they're trying to personify with that. And I thought it was an amazing scene, the car chase, and then the slow walk to get Penguin out of the car, and his terror just getting bigger and bigger. Great scene, great part of the movie. So my overall grade for this movie out of 10, I'm giving it a 9. 8.5 to a 9. And again, there's some politics in it, but not as bad as some other movies will do. But overall, again, with Batman doing the journey from vengeance-seeking vigilante to a symbol against criminality that people can rally behind to fight the criminal element of the city, I enjoyed that aspect of the movie, which is what they were going for. And being comic book worthy by sticking with some of the comic book portrayals from Long Halloween, Hush, the early comics, and even some of the Batman video games. I thought they did a really, really good job. I know some people might not think of it as that high on the list for a review, but for me, 8.5 to a 9. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I thought the music wasn't as good as some other Batman. I apologize. I just ate not that long ago. I do want to say that I don't think the musical score was as good as other Batman movies, but the way the music is used in the movie for different scenes and so on was really good. So I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. 7 to 7.5 out of 10. And let's talk about the lighting. The lighting is, because he's mainly Batman throughout this entire film, Rob Pattinson, it's always at night, or it's got that orangish tint to it. I don't know why, but it's like it feels like you're drawn more into the movie. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it too. I thought they did a great job with it. So overall, again, my final grade for this movie as a review is between an 8.5 and a 9. Again, that's my personal choice. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, but that's just my personal take on it, my review of it. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to go watch it again, make sure I didn't miss any Easter eggs. And then if you want, let me know in the comments below. I'll do another video where I go over the Easter eggs in the movie, maybe, or maybe not. Just let me know. But again, let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Have you seen the movie yet? If not, sorry for the spoilers, but I did warn you at the very beginning of the movie. So again, I thought it was a very good Batman movie. Again, like any other movie, there's things they could have done better in my opinion. But overall, very well done in my opinion. I know some might not agree with that. But again, every movie, and this is what I'll tell everybody, don't let me make the decision for you. Go watch it for yourself. You can watch it and you can be like, this movie sucks, I don't like it. Or you can watch it and be like, you know what? He was right. This is a pretty good movie. Again, it is personal opinion. You have people who didn't like the prequel trilogy of Star Wars just because of one character, Jar Jar Binks, which I hate Jar Jar Binks with a passion. I can't stand him. But I liked the prequel trilogy because I thought it built up to The Empire Strikes Back. And then, so now, we're not going to go into the last trilogy that came out after Force Awakens. We will leave that one alone and let that one lie. However, Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, masterpiece. So anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Again, write down in the comments if you liked the movie, if you didn't like the movie. If you did not like the movie, tell me why you didn't like it. Maybe something I missed and I didn't see it. But I tried to give a good review the best I could. Anyway, guys, again, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to help the channel grow. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, this has been your favorite Penguin, the Penguinator, signing off. Go out there, get your geek on, and have a great day.